Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. You know, it's honestly hilarious. The Democrats really think they have some sort of wizard-like ability to out of thin air just manufacture, speak into existence, manifest these massive political trends. Just like during the last election, where they attempted to speak into existence this idea that Republican voters wanted nothing with Donald Trump and that there was this huge #Republicans for Harris phenomenon. They knew it didn't exist, but they thought they could just make it happen by saying it enough times, or I guess by paying enough people on TikTok to say it. Clearly that was never going to work, but if you think that's going to stop them, boy oh boy do you not know these leftoids. They certainly are a persistent bunch, I'll tell you that much. But anyways, they've got a new concept that they're trying to speak into existence, to manifest. Yeah, this idea of a Trump voter regret narrative. They've been pushing this idea so hard, even though there's really no polling data to suggest it. And just yesterday, Adam Schiff and another Democrat clown were on Bill Maher's show, and they said this.
My summary of the first 100 days is that the bad news is it's the worst first 100 days in U.S. presidential history. I can't think of a presidency that had it worse. But the good news, I think, for the country is it's the worst first 100 days in U.S. presidential history. A lot of the country that voted for President Trump because they didn't like the course of the country under his predecessor, because they were mad, because they thought stuff needed to be broken up and disrupted, are waking up to the reality of just how much worse it can get. And I'm hearing from so many friends who voted for Trump, who remember the first Trump administration as being an era, at least until COVID, of prosperity, and saying, hang on a second, 100% tariffs, I'm losing half of my workforce, I can't afford things, the price of consumer goods is still going up. This is not what I voted for. And that's a relief, because if it had been a successful first 100 days, if it had been just a little less bad, people would say, well, what's the problem if we're not observing due process? Or what's the problem if we're defying the Supreme Court? That would be even more worrisome than what we have now.
Massive voter regret. The worst first 100 days of any president ever. And well, as you could imagine, they're absolutely full of it. It's transparent what they're trying to do. They want you to believe that people are jumping ship because the mainstream media is saying so, but once again, reality hits them like a frickin' freight train. The exact opposite is true, and the support for Donald Trump remains as steadfast as ever. And I got the proof to back up that claim. Let me show you guys exactly what's going on here. We got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. All right, folks, so Frank Luntz, who again, I have to add, isn't a big Trump fan, I'd even call him a Trump hater, well, he just dropped another one of his famous focus groups, where he gathers a bunch of voters into a group Zoom call, and in this particular call, he got Trump voters together, and let's just say the Democrat narrative seems a little bit detached from reality.
I need to ask you an issue that no one's brought up, and that has crashed your 401ks. Your tariffs. Stock market is way down.
It needed a correction.
Oh, so you support it?
Yes. You bet.
Yep.
How many?
And I have to tell you, my 401k wasn't impacted at all.
First off, how many of you did not lose any money over the crash of the stock market? One individual, two people. So, Serena?
The Biden administration, I lost more money than the Trump administration by far.
In 2022, they crashed it by 25%. Yeah, for the whole year.
No one's upset over this?
No.
Nope.
No.
Nobody.
There's not
an
a single
here,
40-year period in the history of the stock market where the stock market hasn't appreciated at an average rate of about 7%. There's ups and downs and corrections, and sometimes people are foolish and they jump out, buy high, sell low. If people just get in and stay the course, they'll be just fine.
I was about to say, I'm not a day trader. I try not to look at it very often, but I also trust that Trump and all of his advisors that are involved with the tariff issue know what they're doing. So I'm just going to hang on. I know it'll correct at some point. Yeah, I'm not really worried about it.
We just need a correction. We're willing to take whatever it takes.
Ride it out.
Yeah.
That's the point.
Stay the course. Stay the course.
It's been a rough 2 weeks, but guess what? We got 3.5 years to worry.
Exactly.
And if it's like this in a year, I'll have another discussion maybe. But I don't think it's going to be.
According to the Democrats, the sky was falling, right? Donald Trump's burning everything to the ground, and all his voters regret ever supporting him. Yeah, it doesn't seem like that sentiment is tracking at all. You got voters here openly laughing at the idea that a short-term market dip would shake their support. And And it's funny coming from these leftoids who for the longest time told us that the stock market has nothing to do with the economy and shouldn't be used as a gauge for whether or not the president's doing a good job. At least that's what they said during the Biden years, but now all of a sudden you've got a little bit of short-term volatility and they want people to ditch Donald Trump? I mean, come on, nobody's falling for it. People understand basic investment concepts. People understand long-term growth, staying the course. We heard one guy in that call saying, I'm not a day trader, but I trust Donald Trump and his team and what they're doing with tariffs. And another voter very accurately pointed out something that we've been saying forever. The Biden administration caused way worse stock losses back in 2022, where the markets cratered anywhere from 17 to 31 points. And that wasn't because the president was going out there trying to fight for American economic interest. No, that was actual bad policy, overspending, causing an inflation crisis, creating foreign energy dependence. But back then, you didn't hear the media talking about, oh, all this massive Biden voter regret, even though that was an actual real phenomenon at the time. But with Donald Trump, you see a week of slight market fluctuation, and it's the end of the frickin' world. With Joe Biden, we saw nearly 2 years of stagnation and massive losses in the market. It's not even close to the same thing, and especially not when you break it down to what actually Donald Trump is really trying to do here, because it's not just fiscal insanity and irresponsibility. It's not stacking debt and creating an unbalanced economy. It's about rebuilding American manufacturing, reclaiming sovereignty, bringing back jobs, ending one-sided globalist trade models that have gutted the working class for 30 years. It's about global trade realignment, creating new long-term reciprocal deals with countries that want to act in good faith and form partnerships with the United States. And it's about isolating the bad actor that is China. That's what Trump's doing. That's the actual play here. It's a long-term restructuring mission. And so, yeah, he's sacrificing short-term Wall Street sugar highs, let's call it, for actual economic security and national strength. And people seem to understand that, but what the Democrats are doing is they're losing their mind here. They're obviously just playing politics. They're looking at the short-term volatility and attempting to blow it out of proportion. This is what they do. They play politics. They weaponize fear. And frankly, I think they're banking on the fact that they think Americans are too stupid to see the bigger plan. And really, I think as time is going by here, what people are really realizing is how full of it they are. I mean, it's absolutely laughable how fast their stupid narratives are falling apart. Just look at the stock market panic from the last week, right? Everybody in the left-wing media was screeching that Donald Trump had collapsed the economy. Your 401ks are destroyed. America is finished. How many times did we cover leftists saying that Donald Trump destroyed the economy? Well, now fast forward, what, a week? Maybe a little more than a week later? Markets have already almost totally rebounded. It's fear-mongering, pure and simple. Meanwhile, as they're throwing tantrums, as they're lying and completely exposing themselves as liars, Trump's out here securing solid trade deals, getting companies to bring production back home, securing the border, getting criminals out, and even working tirelessly as he continues to send delegates to hopefully negotiate an end to the Ukrainian war, which sure is a slow process. It's not going to end with a snap of his fingers, despite the fact that he suggested it would. But if that's really the big complaint, I mean, come on. I don't think people were taking him quite literally, and if that's the biggest thing the Democrats have, well, then they really have nothing. And at least somebody's trying to put an end to the bloodshed. It's insane to even suggest the Trump voters would regret this. If anything, I think people are doubling down because they're getting exactly what they signed up for. President who's willing to take hits, take the smears, do the hard work that's necessary to fix a deeply entrenched, systemic, totally rotted system that benefits the very few at the detriment of hardworking Americans. I don't think people are regretting anything. I think people are getting exactly what they voted for. And really, what a breath of fresh air it is to have a president run on a mandate of reform and then actually commit long-term to those reforms. Anyways, that's pretty much what I got for you guys on this one. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to leave a like and possibly subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.